Hey guys, here we go. We're going to continue with Declaration Grooming samples of many of their newest scents that have come out. Today is Opulence, so that's what that one is. I'm going to be opening a new blade, the Gillette Platinum. My other tester Platinum had reached about 10 or 12 uses, so I pitch it, and it's not my Marathon Platinum, but then this has now become my kind of tester Platinum. And so it's a fresh blade. Not too often you see that on my channel. And the brush today continues to be the That Darn Rob handle and the Declaration Grooming B9A. This time it got to soak for maybe 45 minutes. Let's see if it makes a difference. And then we continue to use the Wolfman WR1. And this is a 46 gap. Pretty mild for the Wolfman. I haven't really heard of one ever being smaller than that. But it's entirely possible since for years James was making these in custom orders. So he could make them at whatever gap was requested. All right, so 24 hours looks like, I think is the duration of my beard growth. So it's kind of a normal shave today in that regard. The Gillette Platinum it's not a middle of the road blade for me. The Gillette Silver Blue is kind of like that. It's really good in so many different razors. This guy is really good in less razors, but when he's good, he's really good. Matter of fact, he may be one of the few that worked really well with the Feather ASD2, which is a really mild razor. Very few of my blades, other than the actual Feather brand blade, worked well with that razor. I had to sell it. So, Gillette Platinum, 46 gap WR1. This is the WR2 handle. I believe it's the number 2. As always, when I'm screwing on my handle, I keep my fingers down here. I don't curl them. I keep them open. That way, whenever the head catches as I'm tightening it, then I'm not going to cut myself. All right. Always be careful, even when you've done it 2,000 times. The Opulence here has quite a description to it, and he even listed scent notes. Oh man, there's a piece of that jogged a memory. It almost smells like something non-shaving related. And I think it's in the medical field. Anyway, I don't know. All right, so we're going to discuss it in more detail. As you can see, it's slightly, it's kind of the same color-ish as my shirt. And we're going to hoke out a little bit less than a 1/4 teaspoon here. Oh, this one's more firm than the samples I've been using lately. The other ones were really creams, and this one's definitely more of a crope. And by using a little bit less than a 1/4 teaspoon, I know I'm going to get 4 or 5 passes of nice lather, and I'm not going to waste any. And so I'll take the best advantage possible of this tiny little sample. So this is Opulence. If you're interested in other Declaration Grooming soaps, recently I have reviewed 4 of them. I believe most recently was Cygnus X1. And then before that, I believe it was Epiphenomenon. Then before that, Big Scent Energy, or Big Soap Energy is what he called the soap. And then Bangarang was the first one that I tried out of this sampler set that I was given. The Hindsight is one that I actually have already purchased the actual tub myself, so I haven't used that sample. And then I believe this is Confluence, which I believe I got a sample of that as well. So I didn't try that one. And then here is the last one, Son et Lumière, Sound and Light. And so this is the last one that is yet untried, so that'll be coming up soon. All right. right, so as I press this in to the bottom of the bowl, we'll talk about the scent of Opulence. Scott, the man behind Declaration Grooming, says that it is clean luxury. It is a cousin to Massacre of the Innocents. And I could see that because it is warm, cozy. You can tell there's some of the common elements to that. This isn't nearly as dark. It has a crisp, clean top, so that's interesting. We'll see if I notice that. Very little not to like about this one. It's a people-pleasing, inoffensive soap scent. It is based upon the scent Layton, Layton, but I am not familiar with that scent, so I can't comment too much about that. All right, there we go. We've spread it around the bottom of the bowl, and I am going to wash my hands off and also splash my face. Now, I've said it many times before, but I don't believe I've said it recently. I don't really do too much of a pre-shave routine other than what I just did. Splash some water on my face. Sometimes when I'm mixing up the lather, if some overflows, or when I'm loading the brush, sometimes some overflows out of the tub, and I'll put some of that on my face kind of as a pre-shave cleaner. And that's really all I do. I'm not saying that's what you should do. That's just what I do. I've got oily skin, and so I might be well served. I might have better lathers more consistently throughout from pass 1 all the way to pass 3 if I were to clean my face before the shave. But I figure pass 1, let's let it do that. So I'm fine with that. You feel free to do whatever you want. I would caution you, though, if you're new, I would advise you not to use any kind of scrub or cleanser prior to the shave, anything that does any kind of exfoliation, because your blade and your razor is going to do that for you. That's not usually something you want to do double duty on. Dermatologists have advised some of us who have talked to them not to double exfoliate. Some people do get irritation because of that. So there's a little piece of news there. All right. So face is wet. One of the reasons I do that is to soften the beard, get the hairs to start absorbing just a little bit of water. And then I do that before I start whipping up the lather. Okay. I am really hoping that I can tell a difference in this brush. I'm going to shake out, this brush holds quite a bit of water. I'm going to shake out much of it. And then let's just start working it. Oh yeah, I've got some stuff coming up to my nose. Man, this is complex. You can tell there are some kind of savory ingredients. Let's talk about that. Yeah, I can smell the vanilla. But it's in conjunction with other spices like cardamom. I wouldn't be able to name that. I'm reading it off the thing. I'm guessing that's the spice I'm kind of talking about here. He actually gave us the scent notes. Many times Scott doesn't do that. On the top, and I believe the top notes are the ones that are most volatile, the ones you smell at first, and they don't last as long as the other notes. And so they can present a nice layered effect to have a story through the scent where you smell something at first, and then that goes away, and then you smell the middle notes, and then what's left with you the longest are the base notes. So the top notes are apple, lavender, mandarin orange, and bergamot. If I wrote everything down correctly, you can see the description of the video for the exact list. I copied and pasted it right from Scott's site, Declaration Grooming. Now look at that. We're not making too much headway, right? Isn't that cool? That's not cool, but I have faith. Now, wouldn't it be interesting if this soap behaved differently than all the other little samples that I have done recently? That would maybe indicate another batch of soap that had some kind of difference, maybe. But the water here is different than my home water, so we'll see if that makes a big difference. I'll be very curious about that. Maybe I didn't quite put enough soap in the spoon. I want to get a little bit less than a quarter teaspoon, and so maybe I got more than just a little bit less than a quarter teaspoon. All right, so we'll talk about the middle notes: geranium, violet, and jasmine. So he's got some florals in there in the mix. The base notes are vanilla, cardamom, sandalwood, pepper, patchouli, and guaiac wood. Guaic or something like that. AIAC or something. Now this, I added water, and look, that water is not turning into lather. Wow. Wow. That is very interesting. And that's what happens when I use the same measurement that I have been using. This is definitely not. I've been going at it long enough that I know that it's not like there's some more soap in this brush that needs to find this water to make a lather. So that means I'm going to have to add some more soap. Where did my little guy go? What are we using? Opulence today. Now that is interesting. I might have to try this back home with my other water that I have been using with the other samples, just to see what's needed. Let's just go ahead and err on the, get quite a bit, probably more than I need, maybe. And since the bowl here is wet, that presents a little bit of an issue, because this is not likely to stick to a wet bottom. And it's also firm, and so we don't want it just to slide around the inside of the bowl and not get integrated into the lather. I'm going to pause you while I figure out what I'm going to do. Okay, well, here's what I decided to do. There were dry spaces up near the lip of the bowl, and so that is where I put all the other soap. And so now I'm going to work to get those guys integrated down into the lather. Let's just see if this works. Now that's the good news about this being a brush that has a good bit of backbone, because it's gonna, even if some of the clods kind of fall down, I'm gonna guess they are going to be worked sufficiently to kind of release themselves into the lather instead of just kind of being pushed around. So yeah, I can definitely smell the similarities between this and Massacre of the Innocents, which was patterned after the Herod cologne, or Herod fragrance. I don't know if cologne is the wrong term. In layman's terms, I'm sure it's right. Yeah, I can see the lather starting to firm up as I'm integrating the pieces from the lip here. Oh man, there is some kind of scent there that is really reminding me of something else in the world. And it's not necessarily something I enjoy the smell of. Oh man, this is really interesting, with so many notes to it. I'll bet this is a soap that you could probably use 3 or 4 days in a row and kind of slowly uncover it. And each time you're smelling something that you didn't really smell before. So I'm reaching up to the sides of the bowl here to make sure I get down all that soap, because it sure looks like I'm going to need it. I think I'm doing a pretty good job. Definitely not the optimum situation here. Since I'm kind of working at that, you don't need to watch me keep tilting at this windmill. So I am going to pause you while I make sure that I get all the soap into the lather. All right, I got it all down, and really have been working the lather, and it wasn't very much in terms of quantity. And it had a little bit of a light airiness to it, and I was concerned because sometimes that means if you put more water in there, you're going to dilute it. But sometimes, you know what it means? And it depends on the soap. Sometimes it means give me a little more water. And it'll turn that airiness into more and better and slicker lather. So that's what I did. I first added half a teaspoon of water, and the lather quantity started increasing. So I added another half teaspoon. So right now, total, we've got 3 teaspoons of lather in this. It wasn't looking like it was going to be enough, but I know this is going to be just fine now. It looked like it was going to be kind of paltry, and I was going to maybe be squeezing lather out of the brush knot to get enough to do the shave, but it needed more water. And the good thing is, with all this work I'm having to do to bring that second load of soap into the lather to pull it down from the sides, I'm really getting a good workout on this brush. And so that makes me feel like I'm giving it its best chance. I've used it maybe 6 times now, and I'm going to use it maybe about that many more times, plus a few more, to see if I can get it to relax a little bit in the backbone department. So we can kind of pull down the lather here and shake it and watch how everything falls off. As you can see, it's kind of a little different than usual. It's a smaller quantity than I often deal with. And notice how they did come off in clods, but they did change shape pretty well when they hit the bowl. If it comes off in a dollop, hits the bowl, and doesn't change shape, in most cases, for my preferences, that means I need to add some more water. It's got too much soap and needs some more elasticity. You can decide for yourself by trial and error whether that's a good landmark for you or not. All right, let me get water on my face again. And let's take a break a second for this little PSA. In one of the Home Depot, Lowe's Home Improvement type stores, I found this parts canister. And it's a simple glass tube. It does have some threading right here for these caps. One of them is designed to be removable. The other one's permanent. And it even has an opening here for small nuts and bolts without you having to unscrew. It also has these connectors that let you put multiple beside each other. And they come in a few different colors, and they were a few bucks each. And when I saw them, I thought, wow, this is amazing. This looks like a really good way to transport my brushes safely. The only problem was, when I first got them, they had a little lip around the rim here that pushed in just a little bit, almost like it was burnished or heat treated or something, and that little lip stuck in maybe a millimeter or 2. And so whenever I would put a brush down in here with the bristles facing up, it went in easily, but then as I shook it out, this little lip would catch the bristles. And I was concerned that it would break a bristle on a bore brush, or if I've got these premium brushes, I don't want it to mistreat them. And so I was thinking about different things. And finally I just said, let's just cut it. And so I got a nice razor blade and utility knife style and just remove that lip. And now the brush slides in and out really easily. So this is a great brush transporter, if you're interested in that. Now, do I have... Oh, now this one's even better. And I think this was perhaps specifically designed for brushes. It takes up less room in the bag because it doesn't have those bulky ends, but it's pretty much the same interior size. It's got a custom fit top that fits inside the one. I would love to find a source for this kind of thing, maybe in the cosmetics industry or something like that. The other one's probably more sturdy, but this one sure is elegant in its simplicity. All right. I've wet my face again, so let's start putting on the lather. See if this ends up to be enough. Man, yeah, there's something in this profile that has taken me back to something. Yeah, I'm afraid the backbone is still not relaxing, even with such a long soak. Yeah, this is kind of a light lather. It's going to do the job, no problem, but it's a little too wet. So maybe I shouldn't have added that. Oh, you know what? It's probably my face. My oily skin is probably killing the lather. So you could kind of think of this as the pre-shave. Can you see it's wanting to push with all of its backbone, so many bristles there, it's wanting to push my face around. One thing I can tell a difference in is the bristle softness, the tip softness. It is much softer than some of the other shaves I've done, and so maybe that long soak time maybe it doesn't impact the backbone too much, but maybe it's really good for the tips to set them at their best. So now I go back and get a little bit more suds. I've got another B9A on its way to me. I did a trade at that other B9A that was a 28 millimeter that you've seen me use on my channel. I traded that one for a 24 millimeter smaller brush, and he also compensated with some cash to make it a more fair trade. Now this is pretty light, but it's laying down the layer that I need to get a good shave, and so I know I'm going to get a nice protected shave. So right now I'm just working it into my skin, cleaning my skin, pushing those oils around, getting the dirt, any dirt and dead skin, trying to remove those, dislodge them from hair follicles and things like that. Then just switch to painting to kind of even out the layer. And if it is a little wet, then what you can do is dab your face on the towel after, once I shave this pass and I go to rinse. Instead of starting right away with a really wet face, dry your face off with a towel, just dab a few times, and then some of the water that's in the soap and the lather here will transfer into your face, removing itself from the lather. Your lather will thicken up just a little bit. All right. So let's see how the Gillette Platinum does in the Wolfman WR1. Not super smooth. I can feel it cutting, and so it's not gliding effortlessly through the hair, but it's definitely not giving me any kind of irritation or tugging sensation. Also remember that since it's the first use of the blade, it's possible that, and I would say likely, that it'll get smoother in the next few shaves. Since it could have a burr on it from the manufacturing process. Let's conserve a little bit of lather and do a little touch up in this area. Oh, that feels great. Yeah, that first pass is the only one that's going to kind of feel a little not smooth. The rest of them I got a feeling are going to feel really, really nice. Yeah, this has been very efficient. We're removing a good bit of stubble with that first pass. Very nice. And we just did a rinse. Unfortunately, with some of these scents, maybe big scent energy, epiphenomenon to a degree, and definitely with Cygnus X1, I really liked the scent that was together, but it was so light that it was really hard to enjoy it during the shave. This one's different. The concentration of the scent, the strength, much more. It's definitely not in the 2 or 3 range like those others I mentioned. It's definitely in the 5 range, and so I am really able to enjoy it, even if I am not diving my head into the bowl like I have to with the others. All right, I did dab my face a little bit to make the most of this lather. So let's kind of charge up the brush with some of this lather in here. And we had a nice smooth shave before that first pass. Nice protection. No irritation at all. All right, cross grain. I do feel it cutting just a little bit, but it's very comfortable. It's got a good clamp on the blade, so you're not going to hear tons of audio like you do with some other razors. Short strokes are especially handy in curvy places where you kind of have to adjust your angle dynamically on the fly. Light touch, especially on the really convex areas. Nice drippy, ultra hydrated lather. Let's see what kind of scents I'm able to pick up now that I've been kind of enjoying it for a while. The apple seems to be more of a hint. It's a little hard to perceive, if I am indeed perceiving it. Lavender, kind of the same way. Orange. That's a faint. I don't think I'm picking that up. If that's in there, it's a reduced one, and I don't think I picked it up in the beginning either. Since it's a top note, it's possible it didn't linger very long. We are kind of at the end of the shave here. I can't really. I think the bergamot. See, there's some different words for neroli, and bergamot are related to the orange in some way. I think one of them is the orange flower or blossom, and one of them may be the wood of the orange branch, or something to that effect. And I'm afraid I haven't memorized what those are. The florals like violet, jasmine, and geranium. They're pretty much gone. I think I did pick those up at the beginning. A floral, not individually any of those probably, but just hey, there's some florals in here. Definitely not a feminine scent for sure. They are a part of the group, but there's so many other players that are distinctly masculine and or neutral that it doesn't take it to a feminine place at all, in my opinion. The vanilla, I can identify that one. Of course, that's kind of an easy one to be able to pick out. And I can only imagine that the cardamom is the thing I'm smelling that's kind of a seasoning, and indeed that is something that is used in cooking too. Sandalwood, maybe a hint. Pepper, I'm glad that's a hint too. Sometimes pepper when it's added as a nice little hint, to me does wonderful things to many scents. But then if you add too much of it though, it overwhelms. But when used with a deft hand, it's brilliant. And I think that's probably what has been done here. Patchouli, I think maybe I can get that, but maybe by the power of suggestion. And then guaiac wood, I don't really know what that is. So yeah, it does smell kind of Middle Eastern, like something in the family of frankincense and myrrh, that sort of thing. But it doesn't take me to like a holiday place in my mindset. but it's just kind of in that family of that kind of spice, that warm spice. And yeah, the a lot of those things have settled down to those bass notes, and I really like most of those. Really, pretty much all of them. They've been used well. So that's interesting. I do believe I could use this a few more times and uncover different things, notice different things, appreciate it more perhaps as I uncovered more. All right, let's get a good rinse and then put on that third pass. All right. Charge up that brush as best we can here with what we can. Now, as I get these suds out of the way, am I revealing any places where the soap didn't absorb into the lather? No, I believe I see it all gone. So wow, I probably used 1.5 times as much, probably almost 2 times as much of the soap as I have with these other samples, and it gave me half as much lather. That is very interesting. All right. Now we're not really having too much of a feel because so much of that stubble has already been taken care of. So we're just kind of picking up the strays. Any ones that we might have missed. Lifting my chin up to kind of get a little bit of a tightness in the skin. Keeps folds from happening, which can sometimes give you cuts. And now I'm going to switch and do this direction. Oh, that's nice. That's very under control. It's not giving me irritation that can sometimes happen right there. That's really good. That's well done. And because I'm kind of going over this area yet again, really focusing on a light touch. All right. All right. He did say, he used the word clean luxury. I wouldn't really put clean with it. I think many times with the word clean, you're thinking of like a laundry scent, something a little fresher and zestier, perhaps. And so that's not really in this soap's vocabulary. Crisp, clean top. I didn't pick up really anything crisp. That could just be my own perceptions and not what's not there. You might get a sample of this or a full tub and be able to perceive those things. People pleasing, inoffensive, very little not to like. What I might not like about it is the heaviness, because it's not that light and fresh, crisp type of scent. It's got some kind of gravitas to it, and so I could see a splash, especially. I don't think the soap necessarily is too heavy, although there are some people who probably don't need a lot of scent that would be weighed down by this as a soap. But if with a more intense scent from a splash, I could definitely see how that would be too much for a small group of people. For some people, a little too thick. But I enjoyed it. I could understand if people would remark about maybe this being a winter or fall scent because of the weight to it. And I don't have a problem with that. I probably wouldn't mind wearing it any time of the year, but it definitely would endear itself more to you perhaps in the colder climates. Well, there we go. That is it. And I'm just going to see what happens when I take a tea, L&L Grooming, that was who they were before they went to Declaration, and Southern Paradise, which is kind of a sweet tea type scent, and this is the liniment. So I'm going to use that. It's very nourishing. I'm going to put some water on my face first. I'm going to cut off the video because I don't want it to split up. My my joiner is not with me to join two pieces together, and I want to be able to make sure I publish this in a timely manner. So this is Sugar Daddy Shaves. I've got very comfortable skin. I do see a few red places, and maybe there's a little bit of tenderness somewhere, but it's really no big deal at all. Great shave. It started out with just a little bit of feel to it in terms of the shave, but then after that it was comfy and really enjoyable. Excellent glide from the soap, thin as it was. Enjoyed the smell. Was interesting and complex and fun to take apart and try to enjoy, try to understand it, soak it in, you know. The brush continues to have too much backbone, but that's just the way it goes sometimes, right? I hope there was something in here for you that's going to help you out. This is Sugar Daddy Shaves. Take care.